Hey there, guys and gals. Vincent the Human here, Vin The Human, coming to you from the Sorta My Podcast. Sitting to my right
is Mr. Bob Collins, also known as Bobb-A Fett, and directly in front of me is...
This is James Odle, the man from Odle. Nickname still a work in progress.
Hey guys, this little thing that we're doing, random brainchild of Bob here. This is where we're just going to talk about nerdy shit, like anything. Comic books, movies, trailers, of course, like those release every 2 seconds. TV shows,
video games,
wrestling, collectibles. It's all going to be on this podcast. So strap in, because not only do you have to listen to us three dorks, but you also will get to listen to Marnie Riddle, Harley Heartthrob, cosplay enthusiast, who will be joining us from the next episode, hopefully on. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get right into it, right into the core of all of our nerdy obsessions, and that is comic books. We've done a couple test runs, and me and Bob have already taken the reins. So, Odle, why don't you go ahead and start us off with comics?
Got a couple different things we're going to talk about today. First one I'm going to start out with is Moon Knight, the new one that just came out a week or two ago. It brings back to us Mr. Mark Spector, only this time it starts out, we see him in front of an Egyptian temple with Khonshu, the god that granted him his powers and somewhat of a identity disorder. He's in front of his temple, talking to him, walking in. It seems that Mark has lost his way. He comes face to face with Khonshu, pulls on the hood, remembers everything about being Moon Knight. Shortly after, we find out he's actually in an insane asylum. We see some orderlies walk in, beat the crap out of him, give him a sedative, electric therapy, shock therapy, and then it moves on to him not remembering anything, being in kind of a common area, and watching something on the TV about Moon Knight, which to most of us won't make any sense because Mark Spector is Moon Knight.
Trying to mess with your brain a little bit.
Yeah, so it was at this point in the book where I immediately start thinking something's up. So
because they have flirted with that throughout the years. Like, is he
Moon
really
Knights
insane? Is he really Moon Knight?
Yeah, there's been the whole multiple personality disorder, the dissociative identity disorder. All that has been throughout these books.
Except for in the 80s when they were just like, deal with it. This is how he is.
Yeah.
And really, the only Moon Knight that I'm familiar with is I think I read the first volume of the Marvel Now relaunch, and it touched into it a little bit. Your brother actually let me borrow it.
Yeah, he's
it touched into a little bit of the split personalities. Hears voices, not really sure if they're actually voices or if they're really these mystic beings or whatever. Yeah, pretty cool character.
Yeah.
But he goes on to meet this guy, Bertrand Crawley, who is trying to convince him that he knows who he is. He's in here for a reason. These people aren't who they say they are. And so basically that kind of starts a ruckus in the common area. They drag Mark Spector back to the counselor, who begins to tell Mark Spector that he made up Moon Knight as a way to cope with his problems in life.
I love their little sketchbook that he's been doing.
Yeah.
He's supposedly been doing this entire time. Some of the artwork in that book is actually kind of better than what's going on.
Yeah, so we see what he's referring to in the book. The therapist has a notebook of drawings and little entries from Mark Spector, and it shows the Moon Knight, and it tells him that he made this up. He's been in the institution since he was 12. He has dissociative identity disorder, and Mark can't remember any of this.
Great idea for a Marvel What If, to sidetrack. What if Moon Knight was actually the writer, Mark Spector was the writer of Moon Knight?
That
Got
would be
really
awesome.
Grant Morrison-esque there.
I would love that book.
Right?
Now I want Grant Morrison to write that.
Well, I felt so robbed because a little while ago they did these what ifs and they were just purely centered around the Infinity Gauntlet. I think there were like 3 issues.
They did a lot
all of
during
them.
Ultron, too.
Yeah, I think it was during, just recently they did them during the Secret Wars.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did some of those, too.
Yeah, and I bought the 3 surrounding the Infinity Gauntlet, and I put like in my pool like, give me all what ifs, because I assumed like they were running again.
Yeah.
And
But
then
it
it
wasn't
ended.
ongoing.
Yeah, then it never happened again.
Yeah.
I never got another book, and I was like, son of a bitch.
So, okay, we go back and we see Mark Spector lying in his bed talking with Khonshu. And Khonshu basically tells him to stop being a little bitch and get up and do something about the situation he's in. So we pan over to these 2 orderlies that were beating him up in the beginning. One is a white guy with glasses and a porn stash. The other is a black guy with a pick in his hair. I really feel like they went too stereotypical here.
Yes.
But it works.
Extremely.
That's what, although it's kind of clever because it's so obviously stereotypical that like you think maybe this asylum could be in his mind.
Yeah.
Because his mind
He could be a
immediately
victim of his
associates
own
it.
mind.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so here we see they get up because they
Ooh,
hear
wait a minute,
Mark
though. That
scream.
means Mark's kind of racist. We're,
So
subtext.
the orderlies run to his room, and here we see him standing with what seems to be either a towel or underwear or something wrapped around his head with a moon drawn on it.
I like to believe it's underwear.
That's kind of what I want, just kind of twisted up underwear.
With the elastic
Yeah,
band
like
holding it
Fruit of the
together.
Loom going along the left side of his face.
The front slit
And he tells
for his
them,
nose.
they're like, why the hell are you screaming? He's like, I wanted to get your attention. I wanted to see your true faces. And when he looks at them with this makeshift hood on, they look like Egyptian,
Cat people.
well, the goddess Bastet.
The gods
Is-
of destruction.
Yeah, it's one of the
Yes.
Egyptian gods, the enemy of Khonshu, something like that. But they do. They look like giant cat people.
And then Mark Spector goes
And-
Super Saiyan God.
Yeah, Mark Spector beats the hell out of him, makes a run for it up to the roof, where he looks out at the city, and there's a giant pyramid in the middle of the city, and these Egyptian cat demon things flying around.
Oh, and
And-
this 2-page spread is just
It's so good.
gorgeous. This is a poster right here.
Yeah.
Like I would not blame you if you took that out. And just,
Who's the artist on this?
I had a different variant. Greg Smallwood.
I like that art.
Yeah.
it is a good
So
job.
we see him looking out like there's sand all over the place. The city's kind of in ruins.
I think it's noteworthy that the further we go into him being Moon Knight, like when they're trying to convince him that he's made all this up and stuff, the artwork looks pretty like straightforward, just generic comic book artwork. And the further you get into him choosing to be Moon Knight and him seeing these Egyptian demons and stuff, it gets grittier. It gets
more chaotic.
It gets a little bit more,
Chaotic.
artistic.
Yeah, like a little scratchier almost.
And so we hear him having another conversation with Khonshu, telling him, this is the work of the god Seth, and that he must be stopped. And Khonshu
After
tells
he
him to turn
records
around.
The new episode of
Not to be confused with Seth Dixon.
It's just in general, it's like the new god George.
Sup, brah. Sitting up on his throne, flat bill, sideways. Sup.
Vaping.
Vaping with
Vaping.
with an open, unbuttoned shirt.
Name's Seth, bruh. Okay, yeah.
So, Khonshu tells him to turn around, and there's 3 of these cat demons running at him. Khonshu tells him it's time to kick some ass. So, he turns around, and he gets tackled. Like, Mark has no time to react, and I love it. It's Khonshu sighs, I expected more, my son. And so these cat demons are like beating him, kicking him. They rip off the hood. And now they just look like regular orderlies again. And the city goes back to normal. And he's like, I know what I saw. I know what I saw. Khonshu, help me. No response. And he's like, it's all real. Moon Knight, it's real. It happened, didn't it? And that's where it cuts off. So now we're stuck in this, is he crazy? Is he like, is this actually happening the way it's happening? Like, I'm really interested to see where this goes. And it was a really good read.
That
I definitely recommend it.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say that I'm not a Moon Knight fan. I just haven't read him. Every time he comes up with a new #1, because it is one of those books where you do have to start from the first one. You can't just pick up anywhere.
Well, actually, from what I've heard, the series that was just prior to this, it was kind of one of those
Marvel Now?
Yeah, I don't know if it was Marvel Now or...
I'm pretty sure Marvel Now was the last.
Okay. Well, whatever the series was prior to this, it was just months prior to this, actually. It was kind of one of those series, apparently, where there was an overall story, but you could pick it up.
It was a villain of the week.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like how like Batman 66 is, or like some of the team-up books are.
Well, I know...
Spidey is a lot like that, too.
Okay, yeah.
I know this one is definitely one of those that is not going to be that way.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be like an ongoing.
I know some of the older books are not. And that's why I've never really picked into it too much, because every book I ever picked up, I figured the older ones would be like what you were saying about the last run. But no, I'd pick them up, I'd be totally confused. So I never really read it, and every time, even now, like this #1 is out, I could start now. But I'm reading like 20 other books.
I am.
Well, the thing is, luckily,
so.
we all share the Marvel digital account, and he'll upload all the codes.
Yeah,
so eventually we can get to it. And I'm kind of with you. Like, I really don't know much about Moon Knight. He looks cool. He sounds like a cool character.
He's always been one of those Marvel Knights kind of characters. He's really dark,
which is
like
funny.
Street level.
Yeah.
Which is weird to be in a white costume on a dirty street at night.
Yeah.
But it's comic books. I'm okay with it. I will accept it.
I think he's that line. Honestly, I think he's that line between like street level, gritty Marvel Knights, Marvel Max type hero, and our normal Marvel, like larger than life, god-esque type heroes. Because he does have superpowers. He does have these like over the top powers, and he's helped in many different events in the past with outside of Marvel Knights situations. But for some reason, when he's written into those stories, those grittier, more adult stories, it
fits
clicks.
better. Yeah.
Well, that's just the kind of character he is. He's a very dark character. Like, he died and came back to do the work of Khonshu.
But that book does sound really good. Like,
it was.
Just going through it, I want to read it. I'm like, oh, what can I sacrifice? And I can't.
And so now, gonna move along to the Spider-Women storylines going on.
Okay.
I've not picked up any of the other Silk Spider-Gwen or Spider-Woman books that have been out. With the release of the Spider-Women event, I decided, give it a shot. And so far, it's been pretty good. It's the story of, like I said, just Silk, Spider-Gwen, and Spider-Woman. They decide to go out for brunch.
And if you're not familiar with these characters, they came out during the Spider-Verse event a few years ago.
Spider-Woman's been around for years.
Yeah.
But Spider-Gwen and Silk, they're
arguably two of the bigger characters involved in this situation.
Yeah.
So if you don't know about them, I suggest checking out Comic Storian. He did videos detailing all of the Spider-Verse event. So check that out if you really want to know about these characters, because they're worth knowing about.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, in the beginning of Spider-Women Alpha, it kind of gives you a breakdown of each of their powers. Obviously, they've all been bitten by a radioactive spider. They have spider-like strength, agility, precognitive awareness, stuff like that.
Fertility.
As shown by Spider-Woman.
Yeah.
Although she only had one.
She
really
only
had
one.
one. There was just one baby, not a giant egg sack
like
full.
16 different babies.
So, and from what I can tell, it's a normal two-eyed...
They missed an opportunity.
They sure did.
Yeah. But, so we have that aspect, and it starts out, they're going out to brunch. Of all things, they're going to brunch.
Of course they are.
And Spider-Woman gets a babysitter
Oh
because she just needs some adult time.
I don't know what it is. Like, even though, like, you know, comics grow with you, it seems, and, like, you know, I've got 2 kids. Actually, we all have kids, so, like, we should all be able to relate to this, but to me, it's like, I just heard Spider-Woman had to find a babysitter.
And it kind of makes you wonder what the rest of her storylines are going to be about.
I mean, sometimes
really?
sometimes it's okay. Like, I'm completely okay with big heroes or big characters having kids. I mean, we look at Damian Wayne. Granted, he wasn't around for.
That's different.
And
Damian Wayne comes into his life already fully trained
But
assassin.
we've also got Franklin Richards.
But I think this is probably one of the first times we really see, like, or at least that I know of. Yeah, they're dealing with a newborn.
I'm not saying it's
still
not
trying
influential. I'm not saying it's not poignant.
Oh, but personally,
purposeful.
I have no interest.
Yeah, I'm like,
fuck. Like I said, I really had no interest in any of these books until this event.
If I were to deal with the entanglements of finding a babysitter, I'll just live my life.
I do that anyway.
Yeah.
So they decide to go to brunch, and it's not a normal brunch. They go to Earth 65, which is the Earth that Spider-Gwen is initially from.
Are they time hoppers now?
They're
that
not
what Web
time
Warriors
hoppers.
is about?
I think so.
Okay.
But Gwen Stacy is the Spider-Woman of Earth 65. She has a watch that lets her basically dimension hop.
Okay, I didn't know she had a watch that let her do that.
She has like a Captain Jack from Doctor Who type watch.
So what the fuck is she spending all her time in 6164?
Well, she bounces back and forth, saving the day both places.
Okay,
she's actually kind of a wanted person on her Earth.
Oh,
but
yeah,
whatever.
that's right, yeah.
So they have brunch, and we see Spider-Gwen is being watched. Like, at the start of her book, Spider-Gwen is being watched. And every breath you take. Like, anytime she's Spider-Gwen, she's being watched, but then as soon as she saves the day or whatever, she bounces back to 616.
Okay.
So this person keeps trying to track her, but keeps losing her. Doesn't know where she's gone. She just straight up disappears, and that's why. So when they go to have brunch, and they find that she's back on Earth 65, they send this giant robot, of all things, to attack.
What else would you say?
And it's the goofiest thing. It's just a giant robot. And I think it's Silk gets so excited because she's always wanted to punch a giant robot in the face. So they get up on a rooftop, they change into their outfits, and they go and fight this giant robot. While they're fighting it, the guy that's been watching Spider-Gwen takes her bag and takes the watch.
Ooh.
So now keep
stuck.
in mind, we're on Earth 65, which is Spider-Gwen's Earth.
Her home Earth, yes.
So you've got to think, everyone has a doppelganger on this Earth. Silk's family's dead. She splits off from the group to go find her living family here. And that just starts causing a whole mess of problems. She finds out that her doppelganger on Earth 65 is the leader of an evil organization called Silk, of all things.
Is it like S period, I period?
Yes.
The writing room ran out.
I feel like it. But, like, they've caused an oil spill.
We've used all spider references we can. We are scraping the bottom of the barrel. I can't use Silk. Put periods in there, make it an acronym.
So she finds this out, and she's like, well, shit. And so she goes and visits her Earth 65 family, which apparently the Earth 65 Silk, Cindy Moon, just fucking disappeared. 3 years ago.
She just didn't bother to say shit.
Yeah, just disappeared, not said anything, like, even kind of, like, snubbed them anytime they tried to get a hold of her, like, was basically just an outright bitch.
How
She's a
rude.
cunt.
How rude.
So, Earth 616, Cindy Moon is trying to, like,
I've heard
sorry,
that about...
and...
I've heard that about Silk, though. That
She's kind of a bitch,
really a bitch.
Well,
Like,
okay,
by-
a little
by
bit of
definition.
backstory on Silk. She spent 10 years in a bunker after she got bit to kind of protect her /
Okay.
protect the world from
She
her.
got quarantined, essentially?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
I know
on
more
616,
about Spider-Gwen than I do
Yeah.
Silk. So.
Well, on 616, she came back and her family's been missing.
Okay.
Either missing or dead. I can't remember what I read.
And so
The answer is
So-
yes.
it's Earth 65 Silk.
Where the
that-
family's alive, and
She
that
was the
Cindy
bitch.
Moon was a bitch.
Okay.
And left them and started this evil
Okay.
organization.
So this is okay. All right.
And
fair
then,
enough.
so Cindy Moon goes to infiltrate Silk, the organization.
Mhm.
And because it's Cindy Moon, she can walk in just like she owns the place, like that Cindy Moon does. There's no difference between these people
Yeah.
genetically. So she goes in and is really bad at acting like she owns the place, but makes it to the main room, steals a USB drive of information, and starts heading out. Runs into, of all people, Otto Octavius, and makes fun of this squid that he's holding. And he tells her it's not a squid, it's an octopus, and it's a live octopus.
Isn't she just gonna point out faults about a fucking aquatic creature?
Right?
Like, really?
Well,
Like,
this,
was
the
that
cool
necessary?
Thing, this
Do
octopus
you feel better
grows
now?
and wraps around him like his robotic arms, but they're real they're real octopus
That's
arms.
Oh,
actually
that
pretty
is so cool.
That
So,
is actually
like,
brilliant.
in
Now I
and
want a
the-
what if with that.
Yeah,
I want like
right?
an Earth 2, you know what I mean, type of story with all these characters and their Earth.
It makes
or
you wonder
whatever.
why Marvel never did like an Elseworlds type thing.
I don't know.
Like,
they
I think-
have, like, they've touched on it some.
I mean, a lot of
But-
things like 1602 and stuff. I guess you could consider like
and
Elseworlds,
Deadpool
and then yeah.
2099.
I mean,
is
they
like
all kind of have their own version of it, but I would like to
It's
see
not
that.
the same.
I would like to see that. Yeah.
So we go, and in this last issue, where it continues in the newest Spider-Woman #6, we see Gwen went to help her because Cindy called her saying, "I'm in trouble." So Gwen goes to help her out of this situation with Doc Ock. Apparently, when they were trying to escape, there was an elevator, and Cindy pushed the down button instead of up.
Ah.
And so Gwen is just giving her so much shit over that. Like,
You're the worst
we
at
can
degrading
web swing
children.
away faster than these guys could ever chase us, and you press the down button. So they go, and so Spider-Woman goes to find her doppelganger to find out, because they find out that the Jessica Drew of Earth 65 is the one who took the watch. And something I probably should have said before is they found Reed Richards to make them a portal back to Earth 616.
Great storytelling.
Yeah, that is a big.
That's a
big
pretty
factor.
big thing I
Yeah.
forgot to
Big
mention.
fucking
I
thing.
also forgot to mention that Reed Richards is also like a 13-year-old black kid.
But yeah, because
Is he friends with Jimmy Olsen? By any
because
chance?
Reed Richards, the main Reed Richards is off creating galaxies
Creating new
because him and
worlds.
his family are basically gods after the Secret Wars event.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. Wow.
So it was interesting.
Way to bring Reed Richards back in.
Yeah, it
somehow.
was kind of cool. So they come back, and Jessica Drew goes to her home on Earth 65, finds out that her doppelganger is actually Jesse Drew, a man. He works for Silk, and he's the agent that took the watch
Did they hook up?
and all that.
Did she
No,
hook up with
no,
their
because
doppelganger? That would be
because
weird.
when he took that watch, he
Narcissist.
went to 616. So like a lot is happening in this, and like it's been hard for me to keep it all straight.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot going on, but like if you read it straight through, it's really cool. And so they get back, and Richards has this portal built for them, and of course Cindy, not being a very mature individual, is like, "Is it made out of Legos? You made this out of Legos?" Like,
I'd be more impressed
criticizing
if it was made
him.
out of Legos.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Well,
he's
we
like,
live in
"I
that
had
day
to
and
make
age."
this out of spare parts I found in your garage." You know, I thought you'd be more impressed at the fact that there's an interdimensional portal here, but you know.
I would be more impressed if it was made from Legos.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
So Jessica Drew is all about getting home, because by this point she's been 3 days away from her kid.
Yeah.
And so she's just all about walking through this portal. She walks through the portal and screams. Pokes her head back through and is like, "Just kidding," after she freaks out Gwen and Cindy.
Oh my God.
Good move.
It was actually kind of funny, because those two were hesitant to go through. They're like, they don't trust it because it looks janky and shit.
Well, it may be because I'm not familiar enough with that character, but if I had been reading this book, that part would have annoyed me so much. It'd have been like, I thought some shit was going down. You're just being a bitch. I'm like, damn it.
So they get back to 616. Cindy wants to go back to 65, where she still has a living family. And so Jessica grabs her and is like, you know, when it's time to be a hero, you pull up your big girl pants, and like just starts giving her this little bit of a speech.
Pull up your Wonder Woman underoos.
And then the portal closes. And she's like, "Okay." And then just walks away mid-sentence. She's like, "Wait, what?" She's like, "I was just distracting you until the portal closed." And then they get in a cab, and they're like, you know, "We need to figure out what Jesse Drew has been up to these 3 days on Earth 616. So, granted, I bounced all over the place talking about it, but reading...
But then again, it's like, it's more or less how the book reads.
You gotta think, though, it's spanning 3 different series right now.
Yeah.
So it's
Is
going
it
to
not
be...
spanning 4?
Well, okay, there's Spider-Woman Alpha, and then it's going to end with Spider-Woman Omega.
Yeah,
But
it's like the bookends.
The story is contained in Silk, Spider-Woman, and Spider-Woman.
Okay.
So, like, we kind of get a little bit more focus on the individual characters in their own books, and it spans through all 3 of them. So far, I've been impressed with it. I've enjoyed it.
It sounds interesting enough. Like, not as interesting as Moon Knight, but it's also one of the main reasons I've kind of stuck with only 2 Spider books. Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man, which focuses on Miles Morales.
Yeah. Well, and the other reason I got these is, as you can see them hanging up there, the J. Scott Campbell covers are connecting covers, and they make a little poster.
And they look really
and
nice.
they're really good.
All together. You need to get a frame.
Sorry, is that the giant, the robot?
Yeah,
that's
the giant robot that they fight. It's so generic looking.
It kind of reminds me of the robot that's on the new...
but it's kind of like
Legends of
Amazing.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
It adapts to spider powers.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things that it's why I didn't read the Spider-Verse event, because I was like, I know there's just too much.
When the
going
trade
on.
comes out, I would recommend that.
Yeah.
For me, the big selling point was the connecting covers, and I read the story, and I liked it. So I'll probably pick up the trade, but I'm interested to see where it goes.
Okay. Well, moving on to comics of another variety. I'm mostly talking about Marvel today, but there is a pretty... I'm going to go ahead and say a pretty pivotal DC one in there. But first I want to talk about one of the most anticipated books of the Star Wars franchise. It was announced before the movie even came out, around the time that the first few issues of the main run were coming out, and that is Star Wars C-3PO.
It was even mentioned in the Blu-ray bonus features. For,
it was.
Force
But
Awakens.
you might not recognize him on the cover because of the red arm.
Yeah.
Ooh,
And that is why it was one of the more anticipated ones, because it's supposed to explain how C-3PO got this red arm that he sports in the film, and then all of a sudden at the end he doesn't have it because he gets it repaired. Gets his main arm back. But the reason I want to talk about this, not necessarily because of all the hype that was for it, but because of the big letdown of the book.
Wait, does that say the Phantom Limb?
Yes. The book is called C-3PO, The Phantom Limb. And for any Star Wars fans, that's hilarious. But basically, it's C-3PO and this gang of ragtag, random droids, medical droid, construction droid, and I think there's another type of service droid with them. It's supposed to be one of Leia's right-hand men, or at least like it. Anyways, they crash down on this planet, and I don't even think they say what planet it is, but they crash down on this planet en route from a mission to obtain another protocol droid called, PZ-99. And this is an Empire droid that has information that they need, and they crash down on this planet, and it's basically just filled with horrors.
One of the space spiders?
Filled with what?
Horrors.
Okay.
Horrors.
Okay.
Horrors.
Okay.
I
thought I needed to move.
One of the first things that happens when they crash down on this planet is PZ-99 gets all existential on them, talking about how they fill their roles, yet they're self-aware. They're allowed to question, but they're programmed to do. And how fucked up that is. And that carries on throughout the entire book. And then they get attacked by space spiders. I mean, really, like, that whole sequence of words I just said is more or less the book. They end up killing these space spiders. One of them ends up dying. Then they make it a little further. PZ-99 gets a little existential again. They get attacked by some other space fucking shit. Another droid dies until it's down to just C-3PO and PZ-99.
Do they like eat each other because they ran out of food? Because I really want to see C-3PO become a robot cannibal.
In a way.
Really?
Turns out the rain on this planet is acid. It's just acid. So they're so close to I think it's a homing beacon that they're trying to find so that they can send for help. So they're so close, and then it starts to rain. And during this issue, C-3PO and PZ-99 have bonded somewhat over the fact that due to PZ-99 being so existential, not to overuse the word, but that's really that's what he's been. C-3PO is having a hard time keeping down the fact that he does remember some things from the old days, from before the Empire and everything.
Yeah.
Because it turns out these mind wipes, they don't really get rid of everything. It's kind of like
delete it, but it's not out of your recycle.
Yeah, it's like when you delete something from your recycle bin, but it's
still in there.
It's still in there. So he still gets flashes and all that of Anakin, of being built, of a pod race, of all these things. And he mentions them. So they sort of bond over that, and they take cover from the rain. And it gets to a point where PZ-99 has changed his mind and decided to upload all of his data to C-3PO and then go activate the beacon, sacrificing himself in this acid rain. And then as soon as he steps out, the acid rain starts washing away his paint job, and it turns out he has red primer. And he even makes mention of that he never knew that he was red underneath.
Underneath it all.
Underneath it all. So he goes out, he activates the beacon, and all that's really left to salvage is the arm, which is now exposed red primer, and Poe picks them up. And not Empire. I'm sorry, First Order.
Yeah.
Yeah, First Order. I'm sorry. I'm still adjusting. Anyways, picks up this arm, and they have it reattached because earlier in the book, C-3PO lost his.
So essentially, he kept the arm as like it
As
was
a
a fallen droid brother, and he's like, but it does fit, and I happen to be missing that exact. You mean the left side? Let's throw it on.
Exactly. It's a tribute to a guy he bonded with within the matter of a few hours of getting annoyed.
Was it a couple
as
hours?
Fuck.
It seems.
Yeah, I mean, like, and that's the thing. They lead you to believe that C-3PO's just been annoyed by him this entire time, and you find out why.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why is so much more reason for them not to bond, and they end up doing it anyways. So basically, this book was a huge disappointment.
So what eventually happens to the arm whenever he gets this new one back at the end of The Force Awakens? Says he like, well,
you've got
fuck
me,
that droid. Let's throw this in the
at the end
trash
of this book,
compactor.
he does say that he'll keep it for a time. Like, nothing specific, but...
I like the guy. I just went on to it because it was like, you know what, bro? Thanks for running through this.
Exactly.
Like, thanks for sacrificing
But
yourself.
at the same
But
time, he's
I'm not going to be a hoarder and pack us around throughout the galaxy
He is
now.
C-3PO. He is pretty self-centered, and I don't think him of all characters would want a red arm for the longest time.
not.
He'd have to eventually get it replaced. But it was. I feel like it was a disappointment because I don't know. It's built to strip toss droids. It introduces monsters we'll probably never see in anything else again.
It kind of feels like a story that like I will forget about.
Exactly. It's just meant to be there to give them an explanation for the red arm, and I feel like that's because maybe J.J. Abrams did it and didn't really come up with a reason why, and it was up to these guys to just make something.
It kind of feels like it because it doesn't. Like I said, nothing really exciting happens in that book. Like it seems like it wasn't a bad read, but.
Also, I don't.
It's actually still sitting in my pool because I've just been putting it off for the past few weeks because I've honestly haven't been that interested.
I really don't think that you so much need this book.
I think the only reason I want to pick it up is because I have one of the variants in there.
Yeah. Well, the artist Tony Harris is another problem that I have here. I don't know why.
Art was
like I don't mind. I like the art, but I'm not really. I don't like it in this universe. I don't like it.
It's too 70s adult cartoonish. It does not work for Star Wars whatsoever. If this were, I don't know, if this were a Deadpool book, that'd be one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I could definitely see this type of artwork applying to it, but just dealing with these droids, C-3PO and PZ-99 alone seem to be colored and drawn differently than everyone else, and I don't know if it's because they're supposed to be shiny or what, but it's just it's distracting.
They feel like the door you're supposed to go through in a video game when it's a little more rendered and polished looking compared to everything else in the background.
Honestly, as a Star Wars fan, someone who loves the Marvel Star Wars comics, I don't think anyone needs this book. Quick Google search now that it's out will probably take care of any concerns you had for it. Moving on from that, which really is a huge disappointment. Like I said, I love Star Wars, and this is the first book where I've been like, meh. So, moving on from that, onto something I absolutely adored, 100%, and that is Wonder Woman Earth 1 Volume 1. From what I understand, this series of books, these Earth 1 books, have just been on fire. I know that Superman's a very popular book. Batman, I've never really heard anything about since it came out. But I'm sure it's good.
And actually, if I'm not mistaken, I'm like 95% sure the next Earth 1 that's coming out is a Teen Titans Earth 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I'm not uber excited about it, but I'm probably going to pick it up.
I'll probably read it when you do.
If it were up to me, I'd probably pick Green Lantern. But,
oh, yeah. Or Flash, even.
Anyways, Earth 1 is basically a reimagining of these heroes. Somewhat putting them on more of an urban level. I know that Superman is a lot towards that. putting him more on the ground than up above us. Batman is more of a grittier, like, he's still a billionaire, but I do know that he gets in the shit.
And I know, like, the Alfred in that beginning is where, like the badass MI6 agent type of Alfred came from.
Like from the one in Batman vs.
Superman. Gotham's Alfred's kind of like that, and
that's one of my favorite.
There was another one I can't remember. The Batman, I believe. One of the animated shows he was a badass. One of the newer ones that I didn't watch. But
well, this book basically tells a newer version of Wonder Woman. Not so new, really. Honestly, it's pretty close to the original origin.
Yeah, and it seems like Grant Morrison, like he always does with stories and with characters in general, is pick through everything from their history. Like, everything counts. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And this one is a little harder to get urban with because it's Wonder Woman. She is princess of the Amazons, and as you'll find out later, she's half god.
And I love how they break the panels up in some of the...
the artwork in this is great. Who is this? Yannick Pack?
I would slaughter that name.
Yannick Paquette is what I'm going to go ahead and say.
And by the way, I looked up, we talked about this for you. You said that you felt like all the art in the Earth 1 books felt similar. You're wondering if it's the same artist. It's not the same artist, but you're right, it does look very similar.
Yeah, it all does look really, really similar. They go together well. But Yannick Paquette is what I'm going to call him. He does this great... just classic style for any 90s reader, I want to say. I feel like it's a early 2000s, late 90s Batman type piece of artwork. And he separates each panel, not with necessarily your classic black and white lines, but with imagery.
What is that? Would it be like a Greek...
and it always pertains to what's going on at that time.
Because right now at the beginning, what we're looking at is the very beginning of the book, and it's kind of telling a history of Hippolyta and Hercules. Yeah. And so all of the panel breaks and all the border is in a Greek... I'm not sure really what you call that. Just a Greek style, like what you would see like around the edges of like the pillars and like around.
And there's some statuesque artwork and stuff in the corners and all that separating it. But okay, more about the story because we can gawk about the artwork all day. But the story begins with Hippolyta under Hercules' chain. And all of the Amazons have been locked up. And Hercules is forcing Hippolyta to tell them that she is their slave queen, and that they will fall under the fist of man. And so he's got her down on a knee and pulls her up to him, and she starts to seem to respond to him. And they're about, and wow, Hercules in the scene with his tongue out. They're about to make out, and it looks like Hercules is.
It's kind of a disturbing image. There's nothing really vulgar about it. It's just the look on his face. You can tell it's very. His
tongue is about to go down her throat.
It's very,
Yeah. Anyways, he's telling her to tell them what Hercules has made them, and she says Hercules has made me patient, and then she kills him. She fucking wraps his chain.
She pulls a Princess Leia on Jabba is what she does.
Oh yeah, she Jabba's him all day. So she wraps her chains around his neck, breaks his neck, chokes him out, and then breaks the chains and says no more.
No more.
She frees the Amazons. They take on. They look like Spartan or Roman warrior, more Roman.
Yeah.
I think these are.
I think they're all Hercules men, and
they're Hercules men. They're never really given a name or anything, but they kill them all.
Yeah, they kill them up.
They kill them all. And then Hippolyta declares that they will no longer suffer the evils of man's world, and they're retiring from it forever. And then the book jumps 3,000 years later on Paradise Island, where they have created their own world, disguised and veiled from man's. Hippolyta is pretty upset at this point because her daughter is being brought to her in chains. Diana, Princess of the Amazons.
Also make note that she's wearing makeup that apparently is the first time these Amazonian women have seen makeup. They actually make a mention of it.
Yeah, they actually shame her for it because at this point they believe that it's a way for man to mark woman, and that their natural beauty is disguised by it. But Wonder Woman is being put on trial for leaving Paradise Island, and
wouldn't she instantly be guilty of that?
yeah, more or less. It's like, I didn't leave, bitch. We know.
But I guess it's kind of like anything. You still have to go on trial. You could have murdered somebody right in front of.
And really, this book goes back and forth in flashbacks from her working with one of their scientists, Dindra, on the healing ray that they've got, and then jumps to points where she's talking to her mother, disturbing her from looking through a mirror that shows man's world. And I think it's newscasts, but they never really show you any news anchors.
Like it looks like the Twin Towers almost, right?
Yeah, and then you get a little audio with it. Well, you get speech bubbles that are supposed to be the audio from the mirror.
From comic books
talking about what's happening on the mirror. So I assume it's newscast that she's bringing in, and she has to shut it off quickly because she's been hiding this more or less from her daughter. They talk about how Wonder Woman wants to compete in the games, but that Hippolyta feels it's unfair because of her enhanced strength. She is being told that she's made of clay and blessed by the gods, which is why she's so much stronger and faster than all the other Amazons. So that conversation basically goes nowhere because it ends up in her being forbade to enter the games.
And make note that every time they do a flashback, everything is prior to the trial. And then when it goes back to present day is during the trial.
Yes.
So some things are things that she remembers, some things are the witnesses' testimonies.
Exactly.
Is she tied up with her lasso there?
Well, she's bound by the chains, but the lasso is meant to keep her telling the truth.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is the only reason they have the lasso in play. So they go into another flashback during a.
What's it
what is that? Yeah.
Like a trial, not really trial, but like a competition almost for the Wonder Woman of the island.
Yeah. Well, there's a celebration beforehand that they're having, and I can't remember what it's called for the life of me. But anyways, Wonder Woman disrupts this celebration the evening before the challenge of the Wonder Woman, which is what I'm going to call it. And she shows up wearing Hercules' lion mask and claims to be Hercules and daring them to find her. And she runs off into the woods. She runs off into the woods laughing, and apparently she's been up to this year after year, and for 3,000 years they haven't found her. So they're getting mad, and Wonder Woman's dropping like little taunts, using these flowers that smell like perfume and dropping them over top of them, making them angry. And she eventually finds her way to the beach where she finds Steve Trevor, who is coming out of the water from this wreckage and collapses in front of her. Let's see here. after that, she decides to go get the purple rays, which is what they use. The purple rays.
Purple rays.
Which is what they use on Amazonia to heal their people. And she tries to use it on Steve Trevor, which does not work.
Who'd have thought?
And during all this, she's trying to find out things about him. And this is where one of my favorite things about the book comes in, is the dialogue. Because up until this point, we've just been given English speak. And we assume that that's what they're speaking is common tongue. And then as soon as Steve Trevor says something, it's giving these brackets, as if he's speaking a foreign language. So we find out they've actually been speaking Amazonian this whole time. So Diana tries to speak to him using his tongue, and it's this great broken English. Like first thing
she does pick up quite a bit.
Yeah,
quickly, but it's still.
Well, she's very intelligent.
Yeah.
So the first thing she says to him is, "I'm Diana," and it's broken up like that. EIM ID-A-N-A, and it's just this broken English where she's trying to speak with him, and she goes in and out of speaking Amazonian and man's language, we'll call it. So she's trying to find out about him, and she assumes he's a man because she's never seen one before. So the first thing she does is she grabs his dick.
Goes right in there too.
She's forearm deep at this point.
Also, a note to mention is Steve Trevor is African American in this story.
Yes, Steve Trevor is African American in this story. I honestly wasn't going to mention it because
it really doesn't play
it makes no difference.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
but
the character
apparently that's one of the things that people have whined about this
really
book. Yeah, and considering this is essentially almost an Elseworlds, it's a different universe, it shouldn't matter.
Jumping onto this topic, let's cover this topic real quick.
Let's take a pause in here.
Here's when it matters. It matters when you take Jimmy Olsen and you make him 6'2", handsome as fuck,
ripped,
and muscular. That's when it matters. Not because he's black, but because you completely change the character 100%. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter here at all because he's not like a scrawny burger flipper. He's still the same character.
Exactly. When 100%. You take a kind-willed, brash military man, and all you've done is change his skin tone. He's still the same character in this entire book. He is Steve Trevor.
Yeah.
I'd say he's a little less cocky.
Definitely a little less cocky, but he's still the...
Yeah, he reads
Trevor.
A lot like Steve Trevor does right now in the main book.
You need to read Dark Side War.
I know. But yeah, this is where it does not matter. Another a great example is Superman American Alien.
Oh, yeah.
I think Jimmy Olsen made his first appearance in that miniseries in this most recent issue, and he's black.
Was it this most recent? Yeah, it was this most recent.
And I think that's the first time you see him in American Alien.
I'm not sure.
But he's black, and he's having an art gallery. If anything, the character came off gay to me.
He did. He actually. It took me a minute to realize that's who that was, but he did meet. I mean, they never said it.
They don't really say Jimmy Olsen. They say Jimmy.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
They never really made any kind of reference that he was homosexual, but he did.
He seemed very effeminate, very hyperactive.
Not really flamboyant, but
I'd
he did
say hyperactive.
That's probably better.
But yeah, he's a black Jimmy Olsen, and it makes a lot more sense because he's this skinny.
He's still Jimmy Olsen.
Dude,
he's still the basic body structure, everything, demeanor, all nine, just skin color different.
And he comes off as Superman's pal, not Superman's cool dude.
Cool sidekick.
He got sent to take care of Supergirl.
All GQ and
shit. Steve Trevor is black in this book, but it makes no difference.
Yeah.
So we'll skip right past that. So she uses the healing rays and they don't work. And later that day, she shows up, again wearing Hercules' mask, to take the challenge against Mala, who is her lesbian lover, to take the right of Wonder Woman. She defeats Mala easily and jokingly during the entire thing.
Yeah, kind of taunts her a little bit.
Yeah, in fact, she jumps off of her horse and just pounces on her. Pins her down, is like, I win.
Yeah.
Once she wins, she demands a prize, and they ask her what she wants, and she wants Mala's swan plane, which we would all know best as Wonder Woman's invisible plane. She demands the swan plane and takes off with that to go pick up Steve Trevor. But before doing that, she is accosted by her mother in private over why she's doing all this. And Diana reveals that she's off to visit Man's World. That she knows the world is bigger and that she's tired of this paradise they've created. And and so she takes the plane and goes to leave, and Hippolyta realizes there's only one thing that could make her act like this, and she assumes it's a man.
It's Dick.
Is correct.
No, it's Clark.
So the other Amazons show up to stop her from leaving, led by Mala, and Mala tells her, why are you doing this? We were supposed to be together. And Diana's basically like trying to mic drop every chance she gets. She's like, I'm the princess. What I say goes. You're not going to follow me. Deal with it. Yep. And they keep defying her, and she's like, just tell him you didn't catch up to me. She'll buy it. She keeps trying to mic drop, and it doesn't work, so they have to make this getaway. But luckily, Mala's swan plane is faster, and they make their way out. Mala reports back to Hippolyta, tells her what she saw, and then we cut to Wonder Woman bringing Steve Trevor into a hospital. After she does that, we see Hippolyta has jumped to drastic measures and is seeking out the Gorgon. Some would know her as Medusa. The yes. Gorgon. Medusa. And so shit. I'm terrible at this panel by panel shit. I really am bad, and it's a very long book. Anyways, we go back to the hospital where they're checking on Steve Trevor, and Diana's trying to tell them about the purple rays. They're like, are there purple rays? You have to have them. They must exist here if we have them. She's trying to tell them about these purple rays, and they won't let her near Steve Trevor. And she's getting mad. She's getting overrun by these smells that are supposed to cover up decay, as she calls it. She's mad that they're not using purple rays, and she gets shown off. So she goes walking through the hospital, and she finds all of these people who I believe have cancer. I think they have cancer. They don't tell her what's wrong with them, but they all seem to be lobbed in together.
It kind of seems like they're all almost like a hospice type of situation. Like they're all kind of in their last days.
Yeah, exactly. And Wonder Woman is taken aback by this because she cannot believe that they let their people get this way, get old and wrinkled and decayed. And this is another one of my favorite parts of the book because she sees this elderly woman, and she even mentions that she's shriveled like a leaf. How can you permit this? Can the purple rays not cure her? And
each panel is actually broken up with the heartbeat monitor.
Yes.
And it's slowly, each heartbeat gets a little smaller and smaller throughout these panels.
And while that's going on, she's gotten down by this woman's bedside. She tells her, I'm Diana. I'm so proud to kneel by your side, dear brave sister. tell me your name. And the woman doesn't tell her name. She just says, Angel, and then she dies. And it's so heartbreaking because you can see it on Wonder Woman's face. She's starting to scrunch up because she's about to cry. But she's trying to be strong. And she just cannot believe that this happens. You know, that the women of this world, or that... I think internally she's thinking anyone in this world could get to this state.
How can you let them wither away and die?
Exactly. How could this hell exist while we've made paradise? Like, it doesn't make sense.
That's the saddest thing I've ever seen in a comic.
Yeah. Oh, trust. They're so much worse.
No.
But she starts yelling at all the nurses and then runs outside where the army's waiting for her. And she's like, really? And she's like, by whose command? Boy, yours?
And I love that she keeps referring to whoever is in charge. I'm not sure.
Yeah, this mustachioed guy. I guess his name is Keller.
He keeps calling him boy or child. I think she might even say child or something. She keeps referring to how inexperienced and young and under her she is.
Exactly.
Under her he is.
And once she questions his command, she says, I think not. And she picks up his Jeep. And she starts telling them off. She's like so easily impressed by feats of strength. By things like, they can measure by weight. She's basically just shitting on their entire
saying you only care about your pissing contest.
Exactly. And so she puts it down, and oh my god, I just read this panel again. It's like, these are men. They look like, to me, like girls.
She said something about like
sweet and beardless, youthful, round-eyed faces made to kiss, not harm or hurt.
Yeah. Pretty much saying that all men on our world has been pampered and just babyfied.
So they try to overtake her. Only one ever actually trying to put his hands on her, and she just throws him down real quick. So elegantly, too. She's just like, what?
Just brushes
You're
him off.
Done. And she decides to leave because she feels like she's obviously made a mistake. At this point, we jump back to the trial where they bring in, what is her full name? Beth, I know it's Beth something. Beth Candy, that's right. They bring in Beth Candy, who she met while she was in Man's World, and they jump to another flashback of how that happened. A sorority bus is careening off of a bridge due to inclement weather, and Wonder Woman catches it. All the sorority girls come out, and they're like, holy crap, thank you, wow. And they're like, and who are you? And Diana's so distracted that she can't answer them with her name, but instead says, what has Man's World done to your bodies? Because Beth Candy is a little on the husky side.
And I love that, like, one of the first things that Beth says whenever they ask her to use the lasso, she says something about, along the lines of, she said you guys were kinky, but this is something else.
Beth is one of those girls. One of those, like, just go with the flow. Like,
I've said it before, she kind of seems like, seems like a love child between Pam from Archer and a little bit of Rebel Wilson. And even kind of looks like both of them.
Because she immediately responds with, that she thinks her body is the best it's ever been.
Yeah.
And stuff. So they make quick friends because Wonder Woman decides to help them with the bus, dragging it with her swan plane.
They just throw on a tow chain onto the invisible plane and pull the sorority bus.
And so at this point, we jump back to the trial, and Beth is telling Hippolyta off about it, and she says, and if you think she did this for a man, poor Steve Trevor just gave her an excuse to get the hell out of this place. So we go back to another flashback, and Steve Trevor's being questioned by military leaders on what he saw, where he went, blah, 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 and he decides to lie to them until Wonder Woman shows up and is like, yeah, I totally fucking exist. And then she starts questioning them on how they got to Paradise Island. And they, I think they just kind of brush her off. They're like, that's our business. That's our business. We're going to put you up in a hotel until this stuff is figured out. And she gets put up in the hotel with Steve Trevor, and another just great moment happens where she is thankful for him protecting her secret and everything. So, and she saved his life and all that. So she demands that he wears a collar and kneel before her.
Which on the island is a way of them showing respect.
Exactly. And to her, this is right. This is
an
her
honor
trying to
for
control him.
Like,
she's bestowing an honor.
Yeah.
And he does not seal.
He thinks she's just a bit on the kink side.
And she says, "Kneel, for we are bond." And he's just silent, backing up from her. And she's like, "Steve?" And she's talking about, and then it cuts to the bar where she's talking to Beth about it. And she's like, "Yeah, you might have scared him a little bit." And she starts talking about how it's an honor. She only wanted to show him that she respected him and that she felt his respect. And she's like, "So you're from a paradise island of science fiction lesbians with a bondage side. I'll drink to that." So we cut back to the trial, and there's more blah, 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 blah about the Beth Candy thinking that Wonder Woman's awesome. Which is basically all she says during her entire questioning. And then they decide to give her a makeover. Because they feel like she's one of them now, and they want to officially initiate her. And she goes with it because it's their custom and all that. Until until Wonder Woman realizes that the Gorgon has been released. And she's like, no, she wouldn't. And she tells everyone to close their eyes. You gotta cover your eyes. Don't look at this. I'm going out to face this thing. And she sees that all the military men have been turned to stone until...
They're all stoned.
They're all stoned. And Steve Trevor is with them as well. So she goes to face the Gorgon, but the Gorgon is leaving with the Amazonian squad. And basically Wonder Woman tells them off. She's like, "A war party? The Gorgon? Hippolyta ordered this?" She's like, "This is fucking overkill.
Like, is this shit necessary?"
Yeah, this is overkill.
Send me a text.
Because the only reason to do it was to get rid of Steve Trevor. And so it's at this point she decides to kneel before Mala and surrender herself and take the trial. So we get back and they bring out Steve Trevor to the trial, and she decides to use the purple rays again, which she has recalibrated. That's the word. She has recalibrated it to work on man. Brings him back to life, and he starts telling them about how he rerouted his government from them, didn't tell them anything about the place, just told them about Diana, and that was it. So they eventually get to a point where Diana puts Hippolyta on trial and starts questioning her about her birth, where we find out that she is actually the daughter of Hippolyta and Hercules, and that she lied because she didn't want her daughter tainted by that man's legacy. So they have a little bit of a back and forth about it, and they end up embracing because Wonder Woman understands, and Hippolyta is going to step down as Queen of the Amazons. But Diana says, "No, don't do that. I don't want to be queen. What I want is to be a warrior, but not in the way that you believed I would be." So she decides to stay queen. Wonder Woman becomes Wonder Woman, and that's more or less the book. Yeah. And Wonder Woman shows up in man's world and says, "It's time we had a talk."
She says, "I own this shit.
I own this shit." Okay, sorry about how that came out. Hopefully Bob has edited this to be like, because I talked for a while.
Probably not. Probably just gonna leave it all in there.
I'm not good at that.
Because I really, I feel like if I edit anything, it's going to seem weird.
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
Choppy. I'm just going to leave it
see
all
what
like
you
that.
can do with it. 'Cause...
I mean, no, I think we're good. We're good on time.
Okay. And then the last book I want to talk about is Deadpool, but I don't want to talk about the book because here's the basics of the book. Deadpool ended up killing his family, but because he's a very forgetful person, the way he's come to believe it is that Sabretooth killed his family, so he's been trying to kill Sabretooth. It's your typical Deadpool stuff. He has himself a mission, and he's trying to carry it out. And he's hilarious the entire fucking time.
He's scalping.
He tries to... Well, the first thing he does is... this is issue 9. In issue 8, he talks about how he had an argument with Logan once about how Deadpool would kill Logan. And he says, well, you always ride that motorcycle. So if I were to put out piano wire, just a really strong piano wire, and you were going about this many miles an hour, which you're known to do most of the time... I could cut your head off and take it from there. And so he tests this on Sabretooth, and it doesn't work. And he's like, God, I hope this never makes it back to Logan. So instead he's trying to scalp him. He's doing all sorts of things. Sabretooth ends up gutting him, which, it's Deadpool, so he's still standing while his fucking intestines are hanging out. And then a school bus goes by. And Deadpool starts telling the kids to sing with him while he's got a sword sticking out of his chest and his intestines in his other hand. And it's the wheels on the bus go round and round. And the kids, like, some of them are, like, happy. Some of them are vomiting. Some are freaking out. He's like... The kids tell him that he has something sticking out of him. And he's like, is my fly down? And they're like, no. He's like, cool. Let's not worry about it right now, then. And then he pulls the sword out and calls it Bay, which bothered me a little bit. I hate Bay.
I hate that word.
But what I want to talk about is that, like, that's pretty much the fight, and it leads up to this moment where they're kind of talking. It's just a few speech bubbles of a little bit of a back and forth, stuff we already know. And Deadpool tells him not to deny it and asks him if he has any last words. And Sabretooth says, yeah, bye, Felicia. And then pushes him into a car and then collapses. The thing I want to talk about is why the fuck is Sabretooth saying bye, Felicia? And what the fuck is bye, Felicia? I don't know what this is.
Bye, Felicia originated from the Friday movie. Ice Cube, Chris Tucker. I think Felicia was the crackhead that kept coming up, and he kept telling her, bye, Felicia. Like, pretty much, bye, Felicia means get the fuck on. Like, bye. It's now became an internet thing, like Bay and shit.
Appropriate use, it can be funny.
It can be, yes.
But
it's gotten to the point now where it's like YOLO, and it's just another word that I just wish never happened.
I think it's worse because it's one of those things where it actually is grounded in something that was popular for the longest time, and those are really good movies.
Yeah, and I think it resurfaced recently because maybe some kind of viral video.
A fucking meme, probably.
But like it's popped up in Flash.
The reason I think it's worse is because it's grounded in something that an entire generation knows and loves, and another generation is vaguely familiar with and has seen. But it's gotten to a point where I think people are just fucking saying it because they heard it.
Yeah,
they don't.
No one really knows what.
Like I said, I've seen these movies and I didn't recognize it whatsoever.
Well, same here. I didn't actually realize that until somebody posted the actual screenshot of the movie, and that was by then. I heard it about 6 months.
But that does bother me a little bit. I've read about 4 issues of Deadpool so far, from issue 6 up, and only issue 7 through 10 are really like Deadpool books, because issue 6 was Deadpool 2099, and I've been enjoying it. But it seems like every issue there's that one thing where I step back and I'm like, that doesn't fucking make any sense. They wouldn't say that. Like,
it just seems out of place for, especially that character. Now, if Deadpool said
saying
it would make
Bay makes sense.
And if Deadpool said bye, Felicia, and did something like it would make more sense.
If it had been him, it would have been different. But really, really Sabretooth by Felicia? No.
In the context of it being in a Deadpool book, I can like 30 to 40% accept it, but the fact of
it was
Sabretooth saying it.
Yeah.
And that Sabretooth on the cover just looks...
Well, they've been doing these like cartoony covers. It's weird, but the actual artwork in the book
cool.
looks good.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were really all the books I wanted to talk about. I mean, it's been a great week for comics. I loved Spider-Man #3, mostly because he's grounded the entire issue. There's no action in the entire issue. There's just teenage bitching, and I was like, they captured that perfectly. It's one of the reasons I love Spider-Man. But I think the greatest thing that came out was Batman #51. And Bob, I believe you were going to lead us in with that one.
Absolutely. I'm actually reading a few things right now. I've read a few things this week, including the new issue of Sex Criminals. I've read the new We Are Robin. I'm actually back reading on New 52 Action Comics, but since I like to credit myself as a huge Batman fan, I figured for our pilot episode, I'll talk about Batman books. First of which, like Vincent already said, is Batman issue 51. This is the very sad last issue of Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo.
Oh my God, what a hell of a
team
run.
up. Oh my God, this run.
4 years, 3 months.
I think I can officially say that they are my favorite team up on Batman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I've never read better Batman stories.
This issue that is titled Gotham Is. Anybody that is familiar with the New 52 Batman run, the very first issue, the very first words in the first issue of Batman is Gotham Is. And what Gotham is a it's a newspaper section that where apparently readers will write in on what they feel like Gotham is. And for years it's been just vile, dark things because, Gotham is kind of a shitty place to live. So this book starts out with talking about Gotham Is, and Gotham is a black page. Gotham is a black page you write in white font to find your way down, down, down. It's the first line of the last story you'll ever write, which is kind of a play on what's actually happening. This is the last story that they're going to be together. And the very first splash page you kind of see is the Batcave again. Apparently they've washed the paint and everything off the T-Rex because I don't know if you remember, but
during the Endgame
during the Endgame, all this stuff was gone. It was out there on that playground, orphanage. But I mean, it still looks bare. It looks like they're moving it back in. We also have like a Court of Owls emblem, really huge, and plus the classic like giant penny. Like I said, the Joker card, and we have a quick little discussion with Bruce and Alfred. They're talking. Alfred brings him a protein shaker bottle full of, what do you say? This is your protein, caffeine, creatine, Listerine standard, sir. He said it's justice flavored. He said this brand of justice tastes a lot like bananas. Well, they kind of go into a talk about they made I think they made Alfred like a Luke Skywalker robot hand. I think it was.
No, they found his.
Oh no, they actually got his hand.
They found his hand. Yeah.
Okay. And
as far as they know, his hand.
And Alfred, it could be like idle hands, And then Alfred brings up the fact as Bruce is changing into his bat gear. He brings up the fact that he has no scars anymore. He is back into his peak physical condition because of the Lazarus Pit, essentially.
At the end of the Endgame storyline.
He got healed. Like they made a mention that Pryor was like pretty much he's back to being like not injured whatsoever. Like he's back to his prime again. So being suited up in this new suit, which I love, by the way. Like I love that there's a touch of purple on the inside of the cape. Like
it's like his classic suit.
It feels like he used a little bit of his ideas from the 0 Year suit.
Yeah, exactly.
And the new one. And then we get introduced to our brand new Batmobile. First off, by showing the cloaking device. It looks like an old slammed Chevy pickup.
Yeah, Chevy.
The next one looks like almost like a GTO or something, or a Road
Charger.
Runner.
I would say Charger.
Some kind of old Mopar vehicle.
Yeah.
Then next page is the big splash of the first time we get to see the Batmobile, and it looks like a good cross between one of the classic Batmobiles with the big bat face on it, and like the new BVS or Arkham Knight style. Batmobile. You know, the S10 looks a little beefier.
Yeah.
And
those
Batman,
are more like
goes out on
mid-tech.
Yeah. Well, he winds up going out on patrol through Gotham, only to find out there's really not much going on. He meets up with Jim Gordon, who apparently his hair's growing back and he's back to smoking again.
One thing has gone on.
What did I miss?
One thing specifically has gone on. The lights have.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
That's actually a very big thing that should be brought up. All the power is out in Gotham. Yeah. So of course the first thing that Batman thinks is like there's somebody out there, somebody's fucking around, something big is about to go on.
They even question that like maybe it's seismic activity and maybe it's natural, and he's like
it's
in
never.
Gotham,
It's in Gotham nothing is natural. Yeah. So he meets up with Gordon. Of course, the only thing that's working in the city is the bat signal. And really, his discussion with Gordon is it doesn't really come to a point anywhere. Like nothing's going on in Gotham. Mm-hmm. So he winds up going to Arkham. I can't remember exactly why. He's saying that the alarm's been going off at Arkham because of the power outage.
Yeah.
So of course, like Batman's like jackpot. Of course there's gonna be villains that break out. Like finally, I can get to doing something tonight. So the next page is a cool splash page. It's kind of reminiscent of first issue again, where we have Clayface, Bane, Mr. Freeze, we have Killer Croc, Poison Ivy, Riddler, and Scarecrow, all in a hallway in Arkham, ripping off their uniforms, ready to fight, ready to escape, only to rush up on Batman after we skip through this giant rebirth middle page, only to find out that Arkham's actually beefed up their security for once.
Yeah.
And right whenever they're about, maybe a foot or two away from Batman, these laser bars essentially come down and stop him in the tracks. And I'm not sure what doctor this is supposed to be.
I can't remember.
He says that he's back, so I don't know if it's supposed to actually be Dr. Arkham or not. I'm not really sure. But he kind of tells him, like, don't, just relax. Nothing's getting past these bars. We actually are doing our job for once. So, to further his investigation, actually, the next scene we see is a small rowboat under Gotham in the channels that we've seen in the Court of Owls storyline, and we see a few of members of the courts in mass in their suits, and a woman who seems to be leading the two. Into it, this miniaturized model of Gotham that we also saw in Court of Owls storyline. They row up to one of the buildings, and the woman presses onto a window, which is a hidden button, opens up a secret passageway. And let me see what's going on here. I kind of blanked out for a second. Essentially, they find out that nothing is, like, the owls aren't doing anything. The court's not doing anything. And obviously we find out that the woman, this big, voluptuous woman, is actually, yet again, Batman in drag. He likes wearing drag a lot.
Yeah, he does that from time to time.
Yeah.
Straight out of a Frank Miller story. And
then, next scene we see is Penguin with Black Mask, and I'm not really sure who that was. Who is this supposed to be?
I don't know. Shark Tooth, maybe?
I don't know.
That's definitely Black Mask. Penguin.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wouldn't have thought that was Black Mask if he didn't actually call him Black Mask, because he's wearing like a zipper mouth, like gimp mask.
He's got
almost.
a gimp mask on. It's
weird. Not the classic Black Skull.
Yeah.
What
if we're gonna find out about that
later?
I
hope so. They are also not doing anything. Then we get to see just two panels, one of which is a hand slapping up the neck at a few what looks like mosquitoes.
Probably.
And the mysterious bench man that I think we can disagree that it's Joker.
Yeah.
That was speaking to Bruce a few issues prior, and the only thing he says is "not yet, not this night." So something's brewing there that I kind of can't wait for.
It's a nice shot of Batman.
Yeah, this
God,
this shot here on the next page is Batman holding on to like scaffolding or something, one foot planted up on it. It's just kind of it's an onward shot of him, but his head's out of profile, and it shows the shape of the new cowl and everything. It's just another great fucking
Greg Capullo, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think Batman by this point has gotten to the point where he's starting to try to figure out what the hell is going on, because obviously none of these big bad guys are the cause of this. And where is he here?
He's at the Gotham Gazette.
That's where he was. Okay.
And it's the center point for the signal that they've been trying to track.
And he finds a man in there. What was this guy's name again?
He's fucking nobody.
Does he even say his name? Well,
it says his name.
He's somebody that he even mentions. He was brought up once before, and I think it was issue 2.
He was in the Whisper Gangs.
Yeah, he was in the Court of Owls storyline from the very beginning of the story arc. That's one thing in this issue that we're making full circle. We're going back to the first couple issues of this arc.
Yeah.
Come to find out, because this character in the first few issues, Batman pretty much puts his face into a moving train. How he's not dead. Yeah, I mean he was with a gang. How he's not dead, I don't know. But apparently it turned his life around. He's been doing good. I think he even said something about starting work, has a family, something along those lines. Pretty much, he's a good dude. Nothing's going on here either.
He's actually the writer of the Gotham Is.
Yeah, he is the writer of the Gotham Is. I forgot about that. Oh, he was one of the writers. Apparently, it's been going on for years, and he's picked it up since that's happened.
Yeah.
Really, it starts showing that, it says that the Gotham Is column has progressively started getting more positive. It's been getting more
uplifting.
Hopeful. Yeah. Hopeful is probably the best word, because, like I said, originally it started out with being very grim and just dragged.
Yeah. And then while that's going on, there are all these panels because Batman's like running through Gotham, trying to see what's going on. And all he's seen is people returning purses instead of stealing them. Families having dinner.
Yeah, and people helping each other out with the power still being out.
Yeah, little tailgates going on top of buildings.
And then you get the little chat bubble of Alfred chiming in on the comm, telling him, you're not going to believe this, but it was actually a natural occurrence. Like, power should come on at any time. And by then, the next page, the very last page, you can see the sun just starting to break. Sun's just starting to come up, and the power is kicking back on in Gotham. And Batman says, I understand, I'm still watching just in case. And the last few lines here, it says, so really, in the end, the answer to the question, the column poses is simple. It's what we say to you. It's what you say to us. Gotham is you. Always. And that was it. Like, I think it was a good... There's a nice ending to their story arc.
I'm getting chills now, just again going through that again, because when I read that book,
I kind of do the same thing. I got that like almost pre-tear up chills. Like, man, this is so cool, because knowing that, like, at least for a while, we're not going to have that team up again.
Yeah.
We're not.
I
feel like, especially with All-Star Batman, with him going to be bringing in other artists, I feel like maybe Capullo will come back for a little while.
Yeah. After
whatever this project with Mark Miller.
But also knowing everything that this Batman has been through from 0 year up to this moment.
Yeah. Yeah, because you missed the. Oh, okay. No,
I haven't read Death of the Family. I haven't read. The Court of Owls.
Court of Owls and Death is probably the two best story arcs.
Yeah, I haven't read those two yet, but I have read 0 Year. I've read Endgame and Super Heavy, which was this last storyline. And it's all just amazing.
Yes, and I'm telling you, and you still yet to read the best stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Especially
Death. I mean, that's just a great end to that book.
I'm curious on what 52 is. I'm not sure if it's going to be a lead-in into Rebirth with this one-shot and everything.
Yeah.
Have you happened to hear who the artist is on 52? I know I've heard it, but I can't remember who it is.
On
Batman New 52. The issue 52 for Batman. Because Greg Capullo will be on it
no idea.
Next issue. I can't remember. Oh, well. But yeah, and not only that, but the cover. I really love the cover.
I'm kind of like, I don't want a 52. I'm like, I'd be cool if we just wait till number 1 starts.
Yeah, like you'd be okay if this ended right here.
Yeah.
I feel like the same, but it's DC, and they have a fetish for the number 52.
They've got to have a 52 start off the rebirth. And, yeah, fucking ass.
Alrighty, and for my next book, since, like I said, I'm going to just stick with Batman here. I'm going to be talking about Book 4 of The Dark Knight 3, The Master Race. Written and drawn by just about everybody, including Frank Miller, Brian Azzarello, Hubert's on the art, Jansen, Anderson. We've got, like I said, just about everybody. And I'm glad. That's one thing I do like about this series is that you didn't read Dark Knight Strikes Again.
No,
The Dark Knight Strikes Again was pure Frank Miller cocaine fueled.
Okay, so like the mini issues.
Yeah. And even the mini issues are actually a lot. Are they look better than some of the stuff in Dark Knight Strikes Again. Dark Knight Strikes Again is one of those stories that there's little things I love about it and a lot of things I hate about it.
Yeah.
Well, this book pretty much. Well, it actually starts out with Ray Palmer falling into essentially non-existence. He's getting smaller and smaller on a microscopic level. Then jumps right back into the confrontation between Superman and his daughter Laura,
who's on the side of the Kandorians.
Yes, the bottled city of Kandor has been the citizens have been grown to real size, whatever. They are on Earth and pretty much are going to take it over. So right now we have Superman and his daughter with Wonder Woman Laura. They're fighting in what looks like Washington D.C. because he gets thrown through what looks like the Washington Monument and gets broken in half. And the whole time, I'm not sure what this character's name is. This dude from Kandor, this Kryptonian.
Shit, they will say it later, but I
think
can't
so. He keeps
it.
talking to Laura and like, take him out. Like he's already chosen his side, and he chooses the humans. He chooses the Earthlings, and yeah, they are in Washington because he gets thrown through the Lincoln Memorial. They're just destroying everything. And watching on monitors is Bruce, Batman, and Carrie Kelly in the Batcave. Which, by the way, this shot, love this shot. Like,
yeah,
Batman looks so awesome in here. And Carrie's telling him, like, this is enough, boss. Like, we can't let this happen. Let's go help him. And he said, Carrie, we can't stop this. Like, essentially, these are gods fighting. Like, what are we going to do? Like, we've seen what happened at the end of the first book. Like, it took a lot out of me. So they're continuing watching this fight, and Superman's getting his ass just royally kicked. Everybody in the world's watching this fight. It's being broadcasted to everybody.
But there's a reason he's getting his ass kicked. It's his daughter. So
he's holding back tremendously. He does not want to fight her. He's not. I don't think he's threw a single punch.
He refuses to throw a punch.
Yeah.
He tells her, "I'm not going to throw one."
So the fight, it says it lasts for hours, and it says she beat him down to the top of the world. And the next shot you see on the next page is just a trail of blood leading into the door to the Fortress of Solitude. And
I didn't think Superman could bleed.
Oh, believe me. Apparently there's a movie they talk about him bleeding. I haven't.
Well, I mean, think about when he fought Doomsday.
Yeah.
Bled like a faucet.
Yeah.
The cover of Coming of the Superman 3, he's bleeding right on the cover.
Yeah.
Neil Adams spoils it right there. Yes, I bleed. So finally they're at the doorway of the fortress, and you see all of these Kryptonians from Kandor, just a sea of them going back out of sight, flying, hovering above Superman. And essentially he's on trial, and they find him guilty, essentially. Like, they're telling him, like, you're accused of treason, a word that doesn't even begin to encompass what you've done to your people, the last of your people. How do you plead? And Superman doesn't plead anything. He tries to continue to talk to his daughter. He's like, "You're young. You don't understand why I did this." And what he does, I don't know what this guy's name is, but all of the Kryptonians, they find him guilty, and he throws these little black stones that turns into like a. I'm not sure what they are. Some kind of like black tar-looking thing. I'm assuming this is some kind of. I don't know. The first thing I thought was
it's definitely a bonding.
Yeah, and it looks like it hardens like rock hard because after it covers him completely, he solidifies. And then what I thought was actually really cool was this giant wall of Kryptonians all use their heat vision all at once and just melts the whole fortress. It turns into water, just a giant ocean. And of course, Superman, being essentially a statue, falls to the bottom of this. And then they all immediately after use their cool breath, their ice breath, to refreeze everything. So Superman is at the bottom of a frozen ocean in some kind of Kryptonian bonding agent. And the leader of all these Kryptonians says, to more pressing matters, citizens of Gotham City. And then it starts going into this big spiel about, like, you understand how precious life is, and pretty much calls out Batman. And the next shot you see is Wonder Woman standing, I'm assuming she's home.
Yeah,
she's in
I think that's Themyscira.
It looks like it. There's pyramids and jungle and such. And she has this weird cell phone thing, and it keeps saying that, like, Batman's blowing her up. It keeps saying missed call, missed call, missed call, and then the next one is an incoming call with just a little bat emblem. And she just crushes it. Like, she's tired of dealing with him. Let me see. Where are we at here? Let's flip over. I hate these. I hate that they throw these mini comics dead in the center of these.
Yeah.
And then we next shot we see is Gotham City. There's a angry mob around City Hall. Everyone just wants Batman to turn himself in, so that way saves everybody else. And the new commissioner, what is her name again? I always forget her name.
Yeah, I can't remember her name. I don't know the leader of the Kryptonians. I don't know
none of them. Well, she looks like she's pretty much at her wits' end. She picks up a bottle, starts drinking. Yeah, she pretty much says humanity sucks.
Yeah.
GCPD's useless. Has been for years. Then I'm just trying to move right along. We're getting a little tight on time here. So next shot we see, I think it's really cool, is there's this giant, like, 4-inch long hypodermic needle that Carrie's shoving into Batman's just severely scarred leg and kneecap. And he tells her that he's got a mission for, or maybe the mission part is on the next page. No, this is. He tells her that he has a mission for her and that he bought her a graduation present and hands her what looks like a new costume, which we'll go into later.
Some sort of garment bag.
Yeah, some kind of garment bag. And then we go into the Dark Knight type of news panels, the news reports on what's going on in Gotham. We have a guy that looks like Anderson Cooper, a guy that is clearly supposed to be Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And then you see a giant onomatopoeia whoosh, with somebody running with a streak of lightning, which we can all assume is the Flash.
Yeah.
And Flash is it seems like he's in Gotham trying to help. I'm assuming that's where he's supposed to be, because you see the city behind him riding and such.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere you see a Kryptonian flying and just take him out. Like, you see his leg break backwards, like his kneecap break from behind.
Yeah, and this one, he does not look familiar whatsoever.
No, are you talking about the Kryptonian?
Yeah, the Kryptonian.
He looks like he has gray or white hair, looks real beefy. He kind of looks like Bruce.
Yeah.
But not as scarred and such.
When I first saw him, I was like, is that Cable?
I thought it was Bruce. What is he doing? But yeah, while Flash is running what looks like not necessarily top speed, but pretty high speeds, and then the Kryptonian flying at a high speed, the opposite, just takes him out, and you see him just tumble across the road for a couple panels, until he finally lands in this wadded, bloody, broken mess in the middle of the road. And you see one of the sons of Batman. At first, when I first saw this, I kind of forgot about the son of Batman.
Yeah.
I was like, is that Blue Beetle poking his head up?
If you look in that panel that you were talking about,
with Batman, you get to see them. You see them all
they're
lined
all
up
surrounding
I always kind of forget that he has an army, like, on call at all times. But you see one of the son of Batman poke up out of a manhole and see what's going on. And the next shot you see is that commissioner. She's sitting on top of, I'm thinking that's City Hall.
Yeah,
because that's where she was.
the top of the GCPD.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. Or no, yeah,
it is City Hall. It is City Hall. She's sitting up, and you can see the glow of the fire and the riots below her, and she's pretty much just talking shit about, like, you're all ants, you're poison ants. Like, I can't believe I wasted so much of my life on you. And she's sitting up there drinking. Right before she goes takes another drink, you see a big, beefy, gloved hand grab the flask out of her hand and says, "So stop drowning." What she's saying is, what he was saying is pretty much like, quit being a bitch, quit taking blame, quit feeling bad for yourself, just get up, quit your drinking, let's go fucking do something, and let's fix this city. And that's pretty much it on this book. And then jumping into the mini that is in there, we are revealed the suit that Bruce gives to Carrie, which is a bright green and purple Batgirl suit. It looks almost exactly like the Dark Knight Returns Batman suit, but replace the colors with the gray with the green and black with the purple.
And in a later panel, you'll notice she has the bat symbol across
her ass. Yes, like it's on her booty, which of course you would,
says
Frank.
Juicy in the middle.
Of course you would, Frank. And of course, like I'm pretty sure that these minis are completely written and drawn by Frank Miller, because that's definitely for sure his art. It's very chaotic, scratchy, like I said, cocaine fueled.
Yeah.
And what this mini is Batman has sent Carrie to the pier for a mission. They never really explained what the mission is. She's just there kicking some serious ass and is trying to get to the water. Like I said, still not really sure why. And her internal monologue, she's pretty much saying how, like, she could break any bone and stop you and drop you. Until they get... Okay, and then they finally get to the water. She's starting to get a little overwhelmed. She drops a capsule into the water. Not really sure what it does yet. And you see a green hand, a green gloved hand in the water come up and grab this capsule. Some kind of crazy little light thing happens around the capsule. Not really sure what that is. And then you see this gang of thugs starting to overwhelm Carrie a bit until we see Aquaman. I'm assuming you can't really tell in this panel, but in the further, it's an anglerfish, because here's the fish, but I don't know how it's supposed to be in this shot, because it just kind of looks like a giant T. Yeah, it looked like a hammerhead shark T. Almost. Like, yeah. He pops up in this giant, well, I'm assuming this anglerfish. And yeah, there's the bat booty shot.
My God.
He pops up.
You know what's so terrible is it's like the panel right above it is such a great shot.
Oh, it is too. Because it's the black silhouette, and the only thing is her white eyes, and then the gloves, her boots, and then the giant bat on her chest is pinkish
it's all
purple.
These hot pink colors.
Really good, like, silhouette image, and then directly below that is a bent over, ass in the air, giant bat sign across the ass. Which, okay, fine.
It's so shameful,
Frank. But Arthur, Aquaman, tells her to get on. She does this crazy, extravagant jump in the air, backflip, of course.
Yeah.
Hops on, tells her to hold her breath, and they start submerging, and that's the end of the mini. Overall, I'm liking this. The third installment in this Dark Knight series.
Yeah, by the second one, I was thinking that I wouldn't.
Same here. The first one I was unsure about. Like, first one was kind of the setup again.
Yeah.
Second one, I kind of felt the same way. Third, it started to pick up a little steam. Fourth, I'm liking.
Yeah, this one has definitely brought me back in. I want to keep reading it, and especially now that Carrie Kelly's Batgirl.
Yeah, right. She's not. What was it, Catgirl? Because she oh God, you have not read that.
Oh my God,
She has roller skates and stuff. I'll let you borrow it. I'll let you borrow the trade. Yeah.
I will read it. But yeah, it's a good book.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Our listeners might be thinking it. I hate doing panel by panel.
I don't think. At least I'm not going to be doing that much.
I'm not going to be doing that anymore. Especially with a freaking graphic novel.
Yeah, doing it with single issues. Not as bad doing it with a full.
Yeah, because we're about at an hour and 45 minutes of just ARC books.
Yeah, just doing books. Right. So moving on from that, so we can talk about some good stuff. Odle, I think you had something you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, we're seeing a big trend with these adult coloring books here lately, and now they're branching into the comic world, where we have Batman Hush adult coloring book. We have the
I remember you showing me
coloring books.
Mad Love.
Yeah.
And it's just to explain to you what that is. It is It's not just like 20-page coloring book with excuse me. It's not like a 20-page coloring book with just panels from it. It's a full-on comic book that you can color in.
Yeah, it's
all
not a
the
bunch
panels.
of images of Batman strung together like your basic coloring book. It is legitly the graphic novel uncolored in the coloring book type of paper, that cardstock
Yeah.
type paper.
Well, because DC started out, they did their single issues of the adult coloring
yeah,
book
yeah.
style.
They did
And
the
then-
variant covers.
And then once they did that, they started putting out the full-on graphic novels.
How did this whole adult coloring book thing start?
I don't know. There's.
don't
I mean, if you go
know.
to Walmart, like go to the book section, there's a huge,
Yeah.
But-
huge section of adult coloring
And
books,
all
and
of these are like intricate geometric
yeah,
shapes.
yeah. I mean,
or
now you
repeating
run.
patterns
Now you
of
go to Walmart. There's
flowers.
Harry Potter ones. There's,
Yeah.
I mean, they actually
So
have.
these are becoming a huge thing, and I think that this is going to be a great thing to start seeing some new colorists, new artists, like be able to give their imagining of how some of these things could have or should have looked in their mind.
That makes it not bad, but at the same time, it's like it's so specifically geared. Like me personally, I'm never gonna buy one of these. I'm
Yeah.
never gonna color one in all the way. Because one, I'm a terrible fucking artist. Like, I've just got no skill there. I've got no business with an adult graphic novel
Just sit there
coloring
with
book.
crayons, like double fisting them, coloring all
Right.
over.
I'd rather just buy the already colored book and then read
Well,
it.
and that's the other cool thing is I think this is also going to kind of present some opportunities for people to, like, okay, for example, the Batman Hush.
Mhm.
Someone can take that, color in the whole thing, and go and get opinions from some of the original artists at a con.
Yeah.
You know, stuff
But-
like that.
Then that also breeds resale, which can be so annoying because you'll see these custom covers come up.
Mhm.
Like, people will do their blank issue, and it's like, oh, cool, that's really cool. I know you got that for cover price. And then you did your artwork. Oh, you want $400 for that? Wwho are you?
See,
Yeah,
right.
I don't
who the
think it's
fuck
going
are
to
you?
get that extreme, but yeah,
I do.
I think we're going to see
It
people.
will.
They're gonna do their own work and stuff like that. Like, okay, a $40 graphic novel that they completely they
Yeah.
spent all their time coloring it all in. Okay, granted, when you think about the time and effort on it, especially if they're an independent
Yeah.
colorist or something like that, that could warrant spending a couple $100s on it.
Exactly.
But
And,
as
yeah,
far as like
it's-
someone like me or you going and coloring this in and it almost looking like a high school kid with crayons or something,
Yeah.
no one's gonna.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's a lot more specific than that, too, because, I mean, like, with artists, you have, like, almost any stereotypical situation. Like, there are some who, are legit members of society, and, they have their jobs, they go to it, and they come home, they do their art, and then they try and sell it, make a little extra money. And then you have those dudes who just, they expect to live off of their art.
Their art is their
Yeah,
income.
because
Yeah.
there's too much going on in the world. There's too much artistic talent in them to waste it on working, on going to an actual job and providing and stuff. No, they've got to do their art, so they expect to make a lot of money off of it. And then there are people like me who are like, dude, really? And then there are people who are stupid who are like, fuck yeah, I'll pay you $200. This is gonna be worth something someday.
Well, I would never go as far as be like, here's $100 because I think you're going to be a big name artist someday.
Yeah.
But like scrolling through my Facebook feed on some of these sites, like seeing the detail and how good some of these people can get with, like, granted, it's already all laid out for them. They just have to color it in. But seeing how well they actually do on some of these coloring jobs, it can be pretty impressive on some of them. But then there are some of them that it's just like, that's just red and black and blue.
Yeah.
But the ones that actually take the time, you can tell they put a few hours of work into this one single page. It's really cool.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. But moving on from that, there were a lot of trailers that came out leading up to this, and we were so mad that like nothing came out this week necessarily.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna backtrack. Talk about some things that have probably been talked about 1,000 times. You've already heard about them 1,000 times. You've already talked about them. We're just going to glance over them real quick.
You get to hear them from us now.
Yeah, I think the main one that the main two that we want to talk about are Rogue One and Civil War. And Civil War recently just had all these TV spots where basically they're just showing fight scenes, like these large fight scenes.
They're all so cool.
Oh my god, they are so cool. Like the Iron Man one. Did we all watch that?
Are you talking
I saw
about
it.
where they're all fighting Bucky?
Yeah, when they're all fighting Bucky.
I haven't seen that one. The one I really liked was the Captain America fight one, where like Scarlet Witch in part of it uses her powers
him up
and like
through.
throws him up through a window.
I did see that one. That one was really good.
see that one.
There's a lot of
He's
really cool
breaking,
footage.
he's breaking in somewhere. He's taking out a bunch of soldiers, and then
Yeah.
she kind of tosses him up through the second story window.
And
Nice.
we see Falcon with Red Wing in that
Yeah,
one.
or
And
Red
I'm
Bird,
like,
yeah.
ah!
But I think the greatest one to come out so far. It's so nothing. There's like it's so.
It's
much
literally just like the
nothing.
reveal. One simple line, but it was enough to make us all go,
We're all losing our minds over it. It's the Spider-Man one, and it's not even. This one isn't even focused on Spider-Man.
No.
It's like a legit like critics are raving trailer, and then at the very end, Spider-Man like swings into a pillar like.
sideways.
Yeah,
Swings
he-
through a small space like he always
swings
does.
through a small space, drop kick, and then you see him block a
Not
metal arm.
block, grab.
Yeah, well,
a
that's a
punch.
block. Yeah.
He does kind of what Bruce does to Clark in Batman vs Superman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
stop.
catches the punch of the Winter Soldier, and then it's just that one situation where they were on Winter Soldier, and then they focus over on Spider-Man. He's like, "Dude, a metal arm? That's awesome!" And I'm like, "Oh, he's in high school."
And he sounds like a
It
child,
is.
man.
And it's
Sounds like a child.
It's so good because I love how they're so focused on representing this younger Spider-Man.
Yes,
In that line.
And I mean, that's the best thing about it is that's how Spider-Man was. Like
Yeah,
back
And we're
in
going
the
to
day.
have
He was in
we're
high
going to have the
school
Harry
and-
Potter aspect to this. Like
Yeah.
we're going to watch this character literally grow into an
Because
adult.
he always dreamed of being a part of the Avengers, and maybe this isn't the most ideal situation to come into that, but more or less, he's joining the Avengers. So I can't wait to see that play out. Civil War is going to be just great. I'm not going to say it's going to be the best superhero movie of all time. Mine is still the Avengers, but
I'm also going to take a
so
moment
much of a
and
contender.
correct you and say Captain America Civil War. Because
Did I say Marvel Civil War?
No, you just said Civil War, but that's one of the things that kills me. It's not the Marvel Civil War.
I'm going to keep calling it
I'm just calling it Civil War, even though I know it's the Captain America third film.
It's Captain America 3.
This is literally like an Avengers film.
Yeah, because it's
It,
not like
it should have been an Avengers Civil War, but
it's not like we're ever going to actually get Marvel Civil War.
the real Civil War.
This
No,
is
no,
the
no.
Civil
with all
War
of
that
the
we're
rights
getting.
being split up, with the dozens of other movies that we would need.
Not to mention all the lead in that has to
Oh
go
my
into
God.
it.
We'd have to have so many other characters incorporated.
It would have to be in like Phase 47
Yeah.
or something.
Oh,
like
yeah.
there would have to be a lot of movies.
We'd have to wait at
established.
least another decade.
Well, yeah, and you have to have World War Hulk before that happens.
Yeah.
too, don't- yeah. It's a whole thing, and I hate that it's a whole thing.
And you need a
'cause
lot of
I
characters
want
that they
Iron
don't have.
Spider-Man so much.
Yeah,
But,
like the
yeah.
Iron Spider, and I keep going back to the Punisher.
That
He
scene
played
with
such
the
a
Punisher,
small but such a significant role in
Yeah.
the comic Civil War.
I know I've said this a
Thunderbolts.
million times before, but it's where Punisher really draws his lines as like,
Yes.
what is he? Because Captain America wants him to fight. Captain America wants to beat the shit out of him, but he wants to fight, and Punisher just won't do anything.
Refuses
Frank
to
refuses
fight
to throw a punch. He's like, "You're the
Honorable
good guys."
Captain America.
Yeah, because you're the good guys. Why would I kill you?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's gonna be a great movie.
I can't
Either
wait.
way. And speaking of the Punisher, we got the reveal of we're getting our Netflix series.
Yeah.
Yes, with John Bernthal.
This is one of those times that like finally all this like campaigning actually works. And I'm an avid protester of protests. Because I don't feel like 90% of it does anything.
And not only
They're
that,
gonna
but,
do
but
what they
sometimes fans are not right. We do
Yeah.
not know what we really need.
But
at
this is
once.
one of those rare times where, and honestly, I think if it, even without all the campaigning, just the love that John Barthel's Punisher got would have probably gotten
Oh,
his
yeah.
own series,
Oh, yeah.
regardless.
And I
But-
think it's going to pave the way for, like we were talking earlier, these darker, like what we've already been getting with Netflix, some of the darker,
Yeah.
grittier heroes, like our street level heroes.
I think they need to start getting into like a mixture though. Like I'm
Yeah.
hoping Luke Cage is going to be a lighter show. Iron Fist.
It should.
I
It's
hope
supposed to
gonna
be,
a little
well,
of both.
well, from what they've originally said. Granted, a lot of things have changed with the Netflix series since the start of them, but each one was kind of supposed to have their own feel. Like
Yeah.
Iron Fist is supposed to feel like like a 70s kung fu movie almost.
Yeah.
But one thing that I'm really worried about with like Punisher getting greenlit for a season, and like Daredevil getting a season 2 before some of the other announced shows have even gotten a season 1, is that like it feels like they keep pushing Iron Fist back a little bit. They're still not sure what to do with him, but I feel like he might get pushed back a little bit more now because everybody wants the Punisher. Like I personally want the Punisher.
Well,
But,
another-
like, I
on
just
the-
I just feel like it's going to cause problems
Yeah.
with some of the future shows they already have planned.
On the flip side of that, though, it seemed like they were trying to get to Defenders way too quickly.
Yeah.
And because all of this has popped up and they're seeing like how effective these shows can be without Defenders, it seems like that's getting pushed back so we can get more lead
Well,
into
then,
it. And I like that.
when it comes to the Iron Fist aspect of it,
Hopefully he
having-
gets introduced.
Well, I'm thinking that with introducing Doctor Strange and all the mystical aspects of the Marvel Universe, that's really going to help bring him in.
Maybe
yeah.
they'll wait till after Doctor Strange.
Oh, I'm sure because
Because I feel like they're gonna, if they're gonna introduce him prior to him actually having his own show, kind of what they did with Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, he'll be in the Luke Cage show. He should be at
Yes.
least.
Yeah.
Like
oh yeah,
at the very least, a mention of him,
Or
a quick
a
cameo
flashback,
towards the end or something. Kind of like how they usually do with like Rosario Dawson and all the other ones.
We end the season with Luke Cage, like two episodes of Luke Cage and Iron Fist teaming up, and then we get our Iron Fist show, and then we get a Heroes for Hire show.
oh my god. Well, because we
Yeah.
had 3 issues of Hero for Hire, Luke Cage, of Power Man.
Yeah.
Okay, we had 3 issues where Iron Fist teamed up with him, and then it became Power Man Iron
Exactly.
Fist.
Yeah.
So
we could do it that way,
and
yeah.
if in like their Phase 3 or whatever of the shows, bring in a Power Man Iron Fist show.
Yeah.
Like a team up show.
Either way,
so good.
it's Marvel. I trust them.
Yes.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
it's all good to me. Do whatever you need to do, guys. Last, we're going to talk about the Rogue One trailer. And this is the big one for me because I said earlier I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I don't think you properly understand, and you probably won't until we do what we're going to call variants, which I'll explain here in a little bit. And we're going to do a Star Wars one, and I already know exactly what I'm going to say starting that thing out. I've been
Do we get to
thinking
watch
about it
Phantom
forever.
Menace?
Of course, like that's
No,
all
that's
we're going to
the
talk
best
about.
one.
That's 3 hours of Phantom Menace. That's what you can look forward to. We're going to get in depth with Jar Jar.
Yes.
No, but Rogue One. That trailer dropped recently. And by recently, I mean like 3-4 weeks ago. But that trailer came out, and oh my god. I'm sold forever on everything.
One of the first things I want to talk about is the score. It's,
Yes.
I'm not sure who. I don't know if it's still John Williams doing the.
No,
No.
we
but it's
figured this
very
out.
John
Yeah.
Williams-esque.
I can't remember the guy's name, but it is. It's totally different guy. I think John Williams is only doing the main episodes.
Okay,
like
that's
8,
what I
9.
assumed. But it doesn't feel like anybody else is doing it though.
Yeah.
It's right in line with the rest of the movies.
At the same
soundtracks.
time, it's so new too because
It
it's
is.
all piano.
And it's
all
very light, and it's the same it's the same Star Wars
piano
main theme,
acoustic.
but it's drawn out, it's lighter.
So gorgeous. I mean, like I want to put this on an MP3 player and actually listen to it my day to day. And I've been known to do that with movies. I have the Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind instrumentals.
Yes.
Yes. I didn't know what you were doing. That was
I was high-fiving you.
We were high-fiving, by the way, but I thought he was just putting his hand near my face.
I was actually telling him to talk to the hand.
Yes, okay. He does not like that movie, apparently.
Love that movie, actually.
That's so great. But yeah, we've got the piano, and then the one thing I thought we were getting from this movie, I thought it was just going to be like the mission. That's it. We're going to jump into the mission. We're pretty much starting out with the planning. The whole middle of it is them carrying out the mission, and obviously the end is the mission being completed with them trying to get the plans for the Death Star. But it's actually a character story about Jin. This kind of rogue-esque badass female. I don't mean rogue as in the superhero. I mean, like, you don't really know what team she's playing for.
Yeah.
And I think in the trailer they set up that she's a rebel up to this point, but she's a rebel that's a rebel.
She's a rebel.
She's a rebel. She's rebelling against the rebellion.
She does her own
being
thing.
in the Empire.
So,
I don't know.
could
She
you
doesn't
say
want to
she's
follow
a
the
rebel
rules.
without a cause?
She's a rebel without a cause. She's going platinum. Anyways, yeah, she doesn't like following the rules of the rebellion, but at the same time, she wants to fight the Empire and put an end to their reign. I'm pretty sure that's what they set up in this trailer, and she somehow finds her way into this mission.
And we get some pretty awesome visuals throughout this.
Yes.
This trailer.
My
We
God.
get to finally see AT-ATs on sand.
We get
on
to
a
see
beach.
that is the best reveal in this entire trailer is the AT-AT, because they come out of this hallway thing, and then the camera just panels up, and there they are, just fucking shit up.
We get to see the giant, iconic, like satellite dish being mounted onto the Death Star 1.
We're talking about construction of the Death Star, classic rebellion,
Of the first
bucket
Death Star,
helmet type things.
Just so no one's confused out there. Like, since there's multiple Death Stars and a Star Killer, this is the first one.
The
This is
classic
the very first one.
old X-Wings.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, it felt old. Like, it felt like it was made with the rest of the original trilogy.
Obviously, visually it's upgraded. It's HD. It looks clean and new. But at the same time, it's all that old stuff. I don't
know if it's the props. I don't know if it's all of that makes it feel like that, or if there's something they actually
think that's
did.
Exactly what it is.
It has to be,
because if they even remotely followed J.J. Abrams' lead here, they went heavy. Practical effects. They went back and they made sure that they were meticulous for the movie. For Episode 7, they pretty much followed the exact plans of making Chewbacca's suit. They could have upgraded it. They could have done new stuff. They could have used CG. But no, the suit they built was exactly built the way it was back in the 70s.
And Harrison Ford was actually talking about the cockpit of the Falcon. He's like, I thought they were fucked up. I thought they changed some things. He's like, but it's just been so long since I was in there. He's like, no, they kept everything original. The only thing they upgraded was that at the time they didn't have the budget in the first one. He's like, so all the toggle switches, they had to buy broken toggle switches because they were cheaper. He's like, so he's like, we'd be filming a scene and you see a toggle switch behind my head slowly drop. It was like, this time around, I asked him, he's like, do we have the budget for the springs and the toggle switches? He's like, and we did. He's like, so I'm happy.
Yeah, so if they followed that lead at
Harrison
all,
Ford.
like they went detailed with
yes,
this.
and they say 100% true and accurate.
And from the trailer, it looks mostly practical effects. Obviously the AT-ATs are they did not build 40-foot.
And honestly, there's a lot of practical stuff that's in Episode 7 that I thought they used 100% practical, but it's actually a mixture of both. And they did it so well, I didn't even notice. It's
great. But yeah, if they did that in this movie, then they've just sold me. It looks like an original trilogy movie.
Oh yeah,
it does not look like,
because there's something about the prequels. The prequels were just way too CG-ish in my opinion. The prequels, you could tell, even though it was made by Lucas himself.
Do you ever watch those background, the behind the scenes stuff
on the prequels?
Yeah.
No.
90% of it.
Actually, I have.
It's
all green screen.
Blue screen.
Yeah.
It's just almost
so
nothing
much
was
of the
actual
movement.
physical.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
so unnatural.
Yeah, that's we've talked
it was
about that
you.
before. Yeah,
It was you who posted the bloopers thing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's this awkward moment at the end of that bloopers video where Padme.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I think of her name right now?
Oh, what is her name?
Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman.
Where
yes.
Natalie Portman is trying to run the gauntlet, so
Mm-hmm.
to speak, in that droid factory, and it's just like blue boxes
yeah.
and a blue pole that she's supposed to jump over and a blue pole that she's supposed to go under.
No
and
wonder
she's
some of
cracking
those-
up because she can't handle it. She's like, this is ridiculous.
And no wonder some of those performances seem so unnatural in the movie because
Yeah.
like they had to act in just a blue room.
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
it. They had nothing
And
to interact with.
There's Lucas telling her, he's like, it's gonna look good though. It's gonna look good. Don't worry about it. And it's like, wow, that must have been those must have been such frustrating movies to work on.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely not gone that route.
No,
If
and
they
I
haven't
think-
gone as physical as Episode 7, it
Mm-hmm.
at least definitely has not gone that far.
And I feel like by this point Disney knows like we cannot mess this up.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like with all of the Marvel stuff from Iron Man 1 on
Yeah.
to Episode 7, like they know the monsters they own.
know what
They
they're
know
doing, yeah.
the beasts that are in their possession. So they're like, if we mess this up, even the slightest, even these side stories,
Yeah.
they're going to come with their pitchforks and their torches and
It
burn
could
us to
all
the
just
ground.
crumble
Yes.
down. And they've already set the bar with 7.
Oh,
They've
yeah.
already set just such a huge bar with 7. They have to now at least toe that line.
I just want to make a note that in 8, I really do want to see a scene where she has to carry Luke on her back.
I don't
think it's gonna
they're
happen.
do that. Yeah.
Like,
But,
he gets shot or something, and
I'm just happy.
she picks-
I'm just happy that Hamill posted that picture of him riding her back.
Yes.
And then I could die. a
Yeah,
happy
I don't.
man.
I don't think we're gonna see anything like that. But I do hope that we don't just skip the Jedi training.
Yeah,
Like,
I want to see
because that could be a real possibility.
Even if we don't pick up right there at it, like I want like there
I
to be
wanna
maybe
pick
a
up
flashback.
in-
I want something. I want to see it happen.
I
Kind
hope
of
that
how
they
it
pick
happened
up
in-
in the training, like
in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
That's gonna be great. Yeah, we completely abandoned Rogue One to start talking about other
To Star
stuff.
Wars.
But yeah, no, Rogue One looks really good. This main character, she looks interesting. If not a little derivative, but still interesting enough.
She's
to
a
keep
traitor.
me. I know we're getting Akbar in this film.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because the voice actor died. So I wonder what they're going to do about that. Well, it's obviously already filmed. So this might be the last time we see Akbar.
It probably is.
And
they're
there's
gonna
all
kill
these
him.
rumors going around Darth Vader might be in this film.
I feel like this. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Like
It's
with
the
Darth
right
Vader
time.
being such an
The
iconic
only
character.
reason I don't think it'll go that route. We might see him, but I don't think he's going to
I don't know.
engage
Yeah,
this squad.
I'm not necessarily saying that he's going to be the main bad guy or
Yeah.
anything, or even if he's going to play a huge role. But we're going to see him.
Oh, the Empire's the bad guy.
We're going to see him.
Yeah, we're gonna see him, but I don't think he's gonna engage this squad because Disney has also been very specific about like, yes, we're releasing graphic novels we're releasing novels and comic books, and we are not going to ignore them. They affect the Star Wars universe. So whatever happens in these movies affects the books. Whatever happens in the books affects these movies. And Darth Vader is a badass. Like, I mean, we have never seen him so badass than in his
comic.
main title book.
Yeah.
So I don't buy for 1 second that this like squadron could encounter Darth Vader and live, because an entire fleet of rebels could not defeat Darth Vader in the Vader Down storyline.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would not buy it if they run into him and get away, because it just doesn't happen.
No, but I definitely, I would just about guarantee we're going to see him at some point. We're going to have some Darth Vader appearances in this movie.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for us on this podcast. This one's a little longer than
Special
what.
extended edition for our first time.
This is the George Lucas edit, which is why my long-winded thing about Wonder Woman was so terrible.
And then in the future, we're going to be talking. This one was mainly focused on our books.
Yeah.
Future episodes, we're going to feature all kinds of things, whatever's new. But like
This
Vincent
was-
said, like it's been kind of a dry week.
Yeah, it's a very dry week for news. The Punisher was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
We gotta get Vinny caught up on all of our TV shows. So we can
Absolutely,
start talking
yeah.
about
Yeah, there's a whole thing about that. I'm not
Because
gonna
you know,
go
Legend
into it.
Tomorrow is winding down. We have a few episodes left
I
of
was
Flash
watching
and Green
episode
Arrow.
to episode, and then I moved, and now all this bullshit is happening with Frontier, which, you know, I don't care. We're not sponsored by anyone. We don't get paid to do this. This is all in review, basically. So I'm going to go ahead and say, don't get Frontier. We avidly suggest against that. I've had them twice, and the last time, this most recent time, they overcharged me. They lied to me. They overcharged me. And then they didn't want to do anything about it, and when I argued that point, they hung up on me. 2 separate times,
Assholes.
wasting an entire 3 hours of my day. So,
So as
yeah.
you can tell, Vinny's a little salty.
To hell with Frontier. Don't get
And I've
that.
never had Frontier, but fuck them, they're assholes.
Yeah, fuck these guys. Because now I can't watch any of my shows. I paid $120 for not using the internet for 2 months, on a bill that was only supposed to be $30 a month. Guaranteed not to have any extra charges is what they told me when they signed me up. So.
And
yeah.
as far as next week, what can we expect next week's episode?
Next
feel
week's
like-
episode, there's gonna be it's gonna get wild, man. There's
Are
gonna
we-
be stunt shows. There's gonna be we're gonna get into
Live
the
video
actual
performances?
We're gonna get to visit the actual Millennium Falcon and drive
Midget
it,
knife fights?
and midget knife fights. Like, I mean, that's like 90% of the episode right there.
That's
because man, they can go. They've
can
got
go.
stamina.
Underground Rainbow.
No.
but I think we're all going to be watching Civil War by that point. Correct?
Yeah, by that time we've all seen Civil War, so we're going to be talking about Civil War. We're also going to be talking with Marnie about all of the topics that we go over. You can look forward to us talking about wrestling, a few more comic books, and then who knows what else, because this may have been a dry week, but I mean, we've got 2 weeks till the next episode, which will be coming out on the 18th. These are going to be bi-weekly on every other Wednesday.
This one will actually be debuting on May the 4th on Vincent's favorite
my
day of
God,
the year,
yeah,
National Star Wars Day. You heard him talk about how much he loves Star Wars.
You just opened up.
I
like,
just
we're already
added a
2
little
hours
extra
in.
time to this
You
podcast.
just opened it up. I wasn't gonna say
No,
anything.
but I mean, might as well finish off this podcast with your thoughts
I
on
wasn't gonna
Star
say
Wars
anything
Day.
because of the time and
We'll
the wifing.
We'll
about it.
make it a condensed version.
All right, here's my problem with May the 4th. I will concede that it is clever wordplay. It's obviously clever wordplay, and I can appreciate that because I do love clever wordplay.
Yeah.
But in this new generation of fans, in a world where being a nerd is finally cool, and we've all waited for that, the problem is that so many of us from the old days of getting our lunch money taken and sitting alone with our comic books are still nerds. We still are very specific about our fandom.
Taken?
In grade school.
I think I may have took it.
You went to Medina?
I think that's
You just showed up one day.
I just showed up. I was hungry and broke.
Anyways, so we're still very specific about our fandom, and little known fact, irritatingly so, and I know it's a little known fact because I see it on the internet every May 4th. People legitimately think that this is the day Star Wars came out. No, it is clever wordplay. Star Wars came out May 25th, 1977. And it drives me nuts. Why do we have to watch all the movies on May 4th? Why can't we celebrate on its actual birthday?
Why do we have to designate a certain day to celebrate Star Wars? That's what I want to know. I celebrate Star Wars as much as possible.
Yeah, I'm watching Star Wars all throughout the year, no doubt. But if we're gonna do a celebration day, if we're gonna have a Star Wars day, it should be May 25th because it breeds ignorance in new fans.
It should be, but it's May the 4th is sparkly. It's fun. It
exactly.
catches everyone's
And that's
attention.
what I'm saying. But
That's
it breeds
why.
that ignorance that, like, okay, every single fan loves to point out that ignorance and make fun of people, but then May the 4th pops around and 3/4 of those fans are fooled by the shiny holiday because it sounds pretty. May the 4th be with you. Fuck you. May the 25th be with you.
Hashtag May the 25th be with you.
And you know what? I don't care how pretentious it makes me. I don't care if it pisses people off. I will be the one-man crusade against May the 4th. And when people, and it happens, when people say May the 4th be with you, I turn around and I give them the spiel.
You're the guy that if somebody says Happy Holidays, you're like, no, fuck you. It's Merry Christmas.
Yeah. And see, that's the thing. I don't even care about that.
I know.
Like, you want to say Happy Holidays, I don't mind. Or Merry
Or someone
Christmas.
tells you Merry Christmas, you're like, fuck you, I'm Jewish.
Yeah.
When you're really
This is my Merry Christmas. So yeah, May the 4th is when we're gonna be coming at you. When you should be listening to this, I hope, on day one. But if not, that's when this aired, and I hate it. Anyways, guys, if you want to find us on the interwebs, there are a variety of ways. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Periscope. And on those, you can find us as Sorta My Podcast. Otherwise, you can find us on the Sorta My Comics Facebook page or the Sorta My Brand YouTube page. If anything else is set up, we'll make a post on the Facebook page, on the Instagram, Twitter. But yeah, check us out on there. Like us, follow us, subscribe to us. Whatever 30 different ways you can get notified that we're doing stuff. We're going to be posting on all these things, posting pictures, sharing news articles, and obviously sharing the podcast. Outside of that, thank you very much for watching. I'm used to YouTube.
They watched us. They were watching their listening devices the whole time.
I'm used to making YouTube videos, so let me try that again. Thank you very much for listening to the very first episode of Sorta My Podcast. My name is Vincent Herman, Vin The Human.
I am Bob Collins, also known as Bobb-A Fett.
I am James Odle, also known as insert cool nickname here. Everyone, we will catch you next time. May the 4th be with you!
Insert badass
Fuck
outro music
you.
here.